Sulfuric acid? Is sulfuric acid related to paper and pulp industry? So, let's see this video.
Yes, sulfuric acid is one of important substances in pulp and paper industry. So what is sulfuric acid? Sulfuric acid is a mineral acid composed of elements sulfur, oxygen and hydrogen. The molecular formula is H2SO4. 2 hydrogen, 1 sulfur and 4 oxygen atoms. You all can see the structures in the diagram below. Sulfuric acid colorless, odorless and viscous liquid that soluble in water. It synthesized in reactions that are highly exothermic and corrosiveness and also dangerous even at low concentration. So guys, be careful when you handling sulfuric acid. Did you guys know there are various applications of sulfuric acid in our daily life? Sulfuric acid used in manufacture of detergents, dyes, plastic, fabric and many more. But how sulfuric acid made? Okay, sulfuric acid is produced through contact process. There are 3 stages of contact process. The first stage is, you can see at the flowchart, sulfur dioxide is prepared by burning sulfur in the presence of excess air so that product will combine with oxygen. Second stage is preparation of sulfur trioxide. Sulfur trioxide is formed when sulfur dioxide reacts with oxygen at the temperature 400 to 450 degrees Celsius and at pressure 1 to 2 atm in presence of vanadium pentoxide as the catalyst. Last stage is preparation of concentrated sulfuric acid. Sulfur trioxide will react with concentrated sulfuric acid first because it cannot be dissolved in water directly. Then the product of the reaction is oleum. Oleum then dissolved in water to obtain concentrated sulfuric acid. Next, we're back to our main topic about paper and pulp industry. So Iman, can you tell us about paper and pulp flow and its process?
Next is the process of making paper and pulp, the process and how it's made. Firstly, pulping is done to separate and clean the fibers of the wood. Pulping is a process where fibers are separated and treated to produce pulp. The wet pulp is then converted into paper at an integrated pulp and paper mill or is dried and transported from the pulp mill to a paper mill. Different pulping processes are used depending on the fiber material and the desired end product. Next, the refining procedure will be followed after the pulping process. Refining, i.e. mechanical beating of pulp, is a common procedure that is used in mechanical properties of the final product. The improvement caused by refining are mainly attributed to increased density and to a better bonding between fibers. Raw pulp contains an appreciable amount of lignin and other discoloration. It must be bleached to produce light-colored or white papers preferred by many products. The fibers are further delignified by solubilizing additional lignin from the cellulose through chlorination and oxidation. These include chlorine dioxide, chlorine gas, sodium hypochlorite, hydrogen peroxide, and oxygen. Sulfuric acid is used in pulp and paper industry for chlorine dioxide generation. Next is dilution process. To form a thin fiber mixture, water is added to the pulp to make a pulp slurry, to make a thin mixture normally containing less than 1% of fiber. Next step is the formation of fibers on a thin screen. The dilute slurry is then cleaned in cyclone cleaners and screened in centrifugal screens before being fed into the wet end of the paper forming machine. The dilute stalks passes through a head box that distributes the fiber slurry uniformly over the width of the paper sheet to be formed. Next, drying is done to eliminate the density of materials. The paper web now travels through an enclosed space containing a number of steam-heated drying cylinders. They are warmed up to 130 degrees Celsius using steam heat to ensure that the paper is now 80 to 85% dry. Wet sizing solution is now applied to the paper in order to add a thin layer of starch to the surface. Starch contributes to stiffness and the bonding of the fibers within the sheet of paper. After the sizing is applied, the paper passes through another set of heated drying cylinders. In all, the paper web may travel 400 meters to the dry end. In the process, it will lose roughly 93% of its water. The seventh and last procedure is the finishing procedure to provide a suitable surface for usage. To give the container bud a smooth and glossy surface to optimize it for printing, the paper passes through a set of smooth rollers, which can be hard or soft, that press the paper, embossing a smooth face on the paper surface. Producing high-quality paper depends on maintaining extremely fine control over the variables in the manufacturing process. The sheet of paper is now inspected by an automated measuring device that detects imperfections. After completing its 500-meter journey, the paper exits the paper machine and is automatically wound into a jumbo reel, which can weigh 60 tons and be over 7 meters long. The jumbo reel is lifted by a crane to a nearby winder, where the paper is unwound and cut into smaller rolls as ordered by the customer, then labeled for shipping. That is the end of the journey in making a paper.
Why do we use sulfuric acid? Sulfuric acid is used in bleaching technology, where inorganic peroxide acids are used for the bleaching of pulp and detoxification of cyanide in the mining industry. This relates to the pulp and paper industry, where hardwood kraft pulp is bleached using sulfuric acid. Hardwood and softwood kraft pulps were treated with dilute sulfuric acid. This is a picture of bleached hardwood and softwood kraft pulp. Next, sulfuric acid can also be used to alter a liquid's pH. This is the most commonly used and least expensive neutralization chemical. The relation to pulp and paper industry is that sulfur is used in sodium bisulfate in controlling pH. In the sulfuric acid plant, active sulfur can be used in mill processes, including the pulp and paper mills. Here we have a picture of pH neutralization system for sulfuric acids and also a sulfuric acid plant. Acid hydrolysis becomes important in the pulp and paper industry whenever wood fibers below pH 2 or so at elevated temperatures is processed. The sulfuric acid hydrolyzes and solubilizes the main natural organic polymer, cellulose, present in wood pulp fibers. This helps greatly in the making of kitchen parchment that has been treated with sulfuric acid to strengthen it, making the paper grease and moisture-proof, heat-resistant, and non-stick. With this, I include a picture of the process of making a parchment paper and a non-stick parchment paper. This sulfuric acid is used in the production of tall oil. The crude tall oil soap is processed and a concentrated sulfuric acid is added to the soap. The heat of dilution of the acid helps attain the desired temperature and avoid an excess of acid. The relation of this to pulp and paper industry is that cropped pulping provides valuable side streams created by a primary acidification with sulfuric acid, such as tall oil production, which is an important byproduct of cropped pulping processes. The production of tall oil will then be used as a resin in paper manufacturing. This right here is a crude tall oil distillation plant.
Next, we go to the pros and cons of sulfuric acid. We start with the good one first, the pros of sulfuric acid. First, it helps in making of lead acid batteries, which usually we use in the car. Second, it used in harvesting potatoes. How? It's actually from spraying the potato fields with a sulfuric acid solution. Potato farmers ensure that the green tops will shrink back and blacken within a day or two. Third, it also helps process metals and make fertilizer. Fourth, sulfuric acid can be an effective cleaner tool for cleaning a clogged drain, which help solid particles with chemicals will be eliminated. Second, the wastewater will brought back to a neutral pH level, which is a process known as neutralization. Next, we go to the cons of sulfuric acid. Cons of sulfuric acid divided into two groups, which is health effect and environmental effect. For the health effect, sulfuric acid is highly corrosive and can cause chemical burns and secondary thermal burns when in contact with skin. Second, fumes can burn the lungs and nose if inhaled deeply. For the environmental effects, it's corrosive to metals, living tissue, and even stone at high concentration. Second, sulfuric acid release will help in production of acid rain or acid fog because in waterways it readily mixes with the water.